Hebrews, Hebrews, Hebrews. This is Prophets of Awakening. This is our Shabbat class, the 11th of May, 2024. Okay. Topic inside the class is a new Israel to be in Africa, in Rwanda. We're gonna play the video and break that down. You can go to our YouTube channel, The Prophets of Awakening, and check out our videos. We have over 900 or so videos. And these videos will connect dots for you and lead you into the truth of the Holy Scriptures. Okay. And if you like what you're hearing and receiving on this channel, I'm asking you to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. It would be greatly appreciated. And for those that want to see the channel move along, we have a cash app at the bottom of the screen. Any help would be greatly appreciated. Okay. So with that being said, this is a non-public channel, and by that I mean we deal with the Tanakh and the Torah. Tanakh being the Old Testament, the so-called Book of Remembrance, and the Torah is the first 5 books of the Old Testament that was given to Moses by angel of the Lord, okay, by Michael. Shalom and welcome to the channel, and welcome to our Shabbat class. We're going to do our normal, which is a moment of silence, Sabbath prayer. We're going to do read the Psalms. We have some current events, some need to know information, and then we'll go into our Q&A and dialogue, and then we'll go into our topic, which is a new Israel to be in Africa. Okay, they have plans for it, so we're gonna check that out. Okay, some moment of silence is for the Lord of the hosts, and all that He's doing to bring about our prophesied deliverance in these last days. Okay, oh Lord, we come this day on your Sabbath day, bow down, honoring you and praising you and believing in you. And we thank you for your wisdom and the knowledge that you have poured out upon us. Through your prophets, you reveal times that we as Jacob's children would endure the tribulation. Keep us, O Lord, guide us and deliver us. We see you now within the Holy Scriptures. We trust in you, O Lord, with all our heart and all our soul. Keep not thy silence, shine forth on our enemies with thy great power and thy great glory. Peace be unto you. Okay. With that being said, come read the Psalms right quick. Okay. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna read Psalms. Let's see. Okay, Psalms 40. It's a praise for answered prayers. Okay. I waited, Psalm of David. I waited patiently for the Lord, and he inclined unto me and heard my cry. He brought me up also out of a horrible pit, out of the miry clay, and set my feet upon a rock, and established my goings. And he hath put a new song in my mouth, even praise unto our God. Many shall see it and fear, and shall trust in the Lord. Blessed is the man that maketh the Lord his trust, and respecteth not the proud, nor such as turn aside to lies. Many, O Lord, my God, are thy wonderful works, which thou hast done, and thy thoughts, which are to usward. They cannot be reckoned up in order unto thee. If I would declare and speak of them, they are more than can be numbered. Sacrifice and offering thou didst not desire. Thine ears hast thou opened, burnt offerings and sin offerings hast thou not required. Then said I, Lo, I come in the volume of the book. It is written of me. I delight to do thy will, O my God. Yea, the law is within my heart. I have preached righteousness in the great congregation. Lo, I have not refrained my lips, O Lord. I have not hid my righteousness within my heart. I have declared thy faithfulness and thy salvation. I have not concealed thy loving kindness and thy truth from the great congregation. Withhold not thou thy tender mercy from me, O Lord. Let thy loving kindness and thy truth continuously preserve me. For innumerable evils have compassed me about. Mine iniquities have taken hold upon me, so that I am not able to look up. They are more than the hairs of hairs of my head. Therefore my heart faileth me. Be be pleased, O Lord, to deliver me. O Lord, make haste to help me. Let them be ashamed and confounded together that seek after my soul to destroy it. Let them be driven backwards and put to shame that wish me evil. Let them be desolate for a reward of their shame that say unto me, Aha, aha. Let all those that seek to rejoice and be glad in thee, that seek thee, rejoice and be glad in thee, and let such as love thy salvation say continuously, the Lord be magnified. But I am poor and needy, yet the Lord thinketh upon me. Thou art my help and my deliverer. Make no tarrying, O my Lord. So that was Psalms 40, and it's a praise for answered prayer to the Lord. The Psalm of David. And I want to recite verse 14. It says, let them be ashamed and confounded together that seek after my soul to destroy it. Let them be driven backwards and put to shame that wish my evil. So that verse right there is automatic. If you're seeking the Lord and walking with him, this right here is automatic. Okay. Any comments on that? Anybody have anything? Okay. So with that being said, we're gonna do some current events. This is the ability. When the U.S. spent $2 trillion. It's a shame so many people gain weight from metformin. The first time Benjamin Netanyahu met Bill Clinton. The year was 1996, and Netanyahu was like Israeli prime minister. Upon arriving at the White House, Netanyahu sits down with President Clinton and begins lecturing him on the Middle East, on Palestine, and the future of Israel. When Netanyahu was finished, he stood up and exited the room before President Clinton had a chance to say a single word. This prompted the president to turn to his advisors with a puzzled face and famously say, who the does he think he is? Who's the superpower here? The story is important for context because here we are, 28 years later, and Benjamin Netanyahu is still bossing around and lecturing U.S. presidents on how the Middle East should function. In reality, the Israeli lobby holds tremendous power over the President of the United States and the U.S. Congress. In fact, Joe Biden needs to be extremely careful because the way his relationship with Netanyahu is going,
It could change everything and become the X factor leading to a Donald Trump victory this November. Israel is prosecuting a war that is literally starving the entire population of Gaza to death. And that's not an exaggeration. Just listen to the Secretary of State, Antony Blinken, who said these exact words last week. According to the most respected measure of these things, 100% of the population in Gaza is at severe levels of acute food insecurity. That's the first time an entire population has been so classified. We also see it again, according to, in this case, the United Nations, 100%, the totality of the population is in need of humanitarian assistance. Take a moment to digest the quote you just heard, because I had to reread this several times and was in absolute shock over Blinken's comments. The carnage we've seen unfold in Gaza has resulted for the first time in an entire population to be classified as starving and in need of humanitarian assistance. Literally, every single person in Gaza. If the United States truly believed in human rights and international law, we would step in and force Israel into an immediate ceasefire. But no surprise here, the US government did the exact opposite, and this mass starvation in Gaza is being carried out with the United States' deep participation. First, the US government is supplying Israel with the weaponry it needs to fight this war. Remember, none of the carnage you see in Gaza would be possible without US weapons. Second, the US is protecting Israel at the United Nations and other international forums from the consequences of its actions. But it actually gets much worse. 4 days after Blinken delivered this spine-chilling speech on the truth of Gaza, the US government passed a new funding deal that includes a ban on US aid to the largest relief agency in Gaza until 2025. Maybe you've never heard of the UNRWA, but it stands for the United Nations Relief and Works Agency. It was created in 1949 to help the millions of Palestinian refugees displaced by the creation of Israel. The agency received $1.17 billion in pledges in 2022. And as you can see, the United States was the largest donor, accounting for nearly 30% of that total. This UN agency was created as a temporary solution for the Palestinian refugee crisis. But here we are 75 years later, and millions of Gazans still depend on it for food, shelter, and education. Without US humanitarian aid, even more people in Gaza will starve to death. This action by the US government is deplorable, but it gets even worse. In the same bill, the United States is pledging an additional $3.8 billion to Israel to continue its war efforts in Gaza. I honestly just can't comprehend the actions of my government. The US Secretary of State admits to the world that every single person in Gaza is now catastrophically starving. So we respond by cutting off humanitarian aid to the largest agency dedicated to helping the people in Gaza, while simultaneously also sending another $4 billion to Israel. I mean, can the US government do anything worse? Actually, it can't. There's one final point in the bill that truly shows how much control Netanyahu has over the US Congress. This new bill specifies the US would also cut aid to the Palestinian Authority in the West Bank if the Palestinians initiate an international criminal court, ICC, judicially authorized investigation, or actively support such an investigation that subjects Israeli nationals to an investigation for alleged crimes against Palestinians. As a US citizen, I have a confession, and I need to be completely honest with you. I've never been more ashamed of the actions of my government than watching them handle this situation in Gaza with complete, utter failure. There are simply no other words to describe it other than a total absence of humanity. But US citizens are beginning to fight back and are starting to show their frustration against our government.
I'm thinking to start cutting carbs. I need to drop my belly fat.
Okay, anybody got any comments on that? Okay. Got another one right here and get my computer act right. Yeah, so like I was saying, this video I just played, over and over again, I keep saying they're doing one thing with the right hand and something else with the left hand. They're portraying one thing to you, but they got a whole other agenda on whatever else they're doing. And these people been doing this Keep saying it over and over again, but we know 2,500 years. Okay. Let me get this right here. Okay. So nobody don't know it. The same thing they did in 1948 with Israel. They're doing it right now as we speak with the Palestine. Check it out.
If you want to drop this, start eating more of these. In reality, Biden's unwavering support for NATO.
Okay.
And I now invite the distinguished representative of China to take the floor.
President, the Palestinian-Israeli conflict has continued in cycles for decades. Generations of Palestinians have lost their home and lived in displacement under occupation. It is a wound of the world that is constantly ripped open and bleeding. Independent statehood has been a long-cherished aspiration of the Palestinian people, and full membership in the UN is a crucial step in this historic process. Palestine should have the same status as Israel, and the Palestinian people should enjoy the same rights as the Israeli people. It is the common responsibility of the international community to support and advance the process of Palestinian independent statehood and provide strong support for the implementation of two-state solution and a lasting peace in the Middle East. Regrettably, Palestine's application for full UN membership was mercilessly vetoed by the US in the Security Council on April 18th. On the Palestinian-Israeli issue, the US has repeatedly used veto in an unjustified attempt to obstruct the international community's efforts to correct the historical injustice visited on Palestine. It is not commensurate with the role of a responsible major country. Today, the GA Emergency Special Session adopted by an overwhelming majority resolution to reaffirm the right of Palestinian people to self-determination, including the right to the independent state of Palestine, determine that the state of Palestine is qualified for membership in the UN, and recommend that the Security Council reconsider favorably its application to join the UN. China welcomes this historic resolution, which reflects the will of the international community. China joined the co-sponsorship of this resolution. China supports the Security Council's early reconsideration of the application of the State of Palestine as mandated by the GA resolution, expects the relevant country to not create further delays or hurdles. President, the resolution adopted today also includes modalities for the State of Palestine's participation in UN activities and relevant meetings, granting it new rights and privileges. We understand that these are the special modalities decided on for the lack of other options as a remedy for the historical injustice long endured by Palestine and a rectification of the US's abusive use of veto. We believe that these special modalities adopted within the limits permitted by the UN Charter will enable the international community to listen more adequately to the voice of Palestine and help it to talk and negotiate with Israel on a relatively equal footing. The resolution makes it clear that these modalities are adopted on exceptional basis and without setting a precedent. We believe that these modalities will not be permanent because one day the State of Palestine will become a full UN member and will enjoy full and equal rights in the UN like other member states. President, The crux of the intractable Palestinian-Israeli issue lies at the stalled implementation of the two-state solution. Over the years, Israel, as the occupying power, has worked ceaselessly to erode the basis of the two-state solution. And the ongoing conflict, already 7 months long, threatens to completely bury the prospect of the two-state solution. China urges Israel to stop collective punishment of the Gaza population.
Okay, so what you're witnessing, I don't know if anybody paying attention to it, but they're making Palestine a state, a free state. You know, it's huge. So that was China. You know, play one more. This is Pakistan. You might want to check that out after you get off the channel. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I've asked for the floor to explain Pakistan's vote on the draft resolution contained in document A/ES10/L30/Reb1, submitted by the United Arab Emirates on behalf of the co-sponsors. Pakistan fully supports the draft resolution. We did not co-sponsor the draft at the request of the State of Palestine in order to be able to respond to adverse moves against this draft. Mr. President, it is clear that we are meeting in the shadows of the gravest crimes committed and the gravest violations of the principles of the UN Charter since the Holocaust during the Second World War. The distinguished representative of Palestine has described more eloquently than I could of the slaughter and devastation that has been visited on Gaza by an outlaw Israeli regime. Israel has refused the calls by this assembly, by the Security Council, and even by its patrons and friends to halt the massacre of innocents and accept an immediate ceasefire. The Israeli leadership has reneged on negotiated deals for a ceasefire. It has now initiated its assault on Rafah, which the UN Secretary General has rightly warned, and I quote, would be a strategic mistake, a political calamity, and a humanitarian nightmare, unquote. Indeed, there will come a day when Israel will be held accountable for the crimes that it is committing in Palestine, especially in Gaza today. And we shall work towards holding Israel and its leadership accountable for these crimes. Yet what we have heard today are insults. Insults hurled at the United Nations, at this assembly, and at its member states. This is the arrogance of the aggressor. It reflects the impunity of the occupier of a land for over 70 years, trampling the inherent and charter-given right of the Palestinian people to self-determination. And we hope that the Assembly will appropriately respond to such insults, because I think it is contrary to the expectations of a member state and to the standards and practices of the United Nations. Mr. President, today the General Assembly is asked to take a first step towards a final settlement of the conflict, an important step to rectify the historic injustice against the Palestinian people. It was as a result of this Assembly's vote in 1947 that Palestine was partitioned between Israel and a Palestinian state. Yet only Israel is a member of the United Nations. The Palestinian people have been denied their right to self-determination since 1947. And after 1967, they have been obliged to live under Israel's brutal occupation. This General Assembly can partially redress this historic injustice by admitting Palestine as a full member of the United Nations. It meets all the criteria of membership. Its membership enjoys the support of the vast majority of the UN member states. It is regrettable, therefore, that Palestine's membership has been blocked in 2011 and again 2 weeks ago by the negative vote of one permanent member of the Security Council. The assertion that Palestine's admission can happen only through negotiations reflects the inequity of this position. Negotiation must have a level playing field. If Israel is negotiating as a full member of the United Nations, so too should Palestine.
Okay. Any comments on that? So
Let me ask. So if Palestine wants a two-state?
well, Palestine want to be recognized as a independent state, just like Israel is at the UN. That's what they passed. They passed that. If it ain't been passed, it should be passed by the weekend. Overwhelmingly, all the countries made a decision to vote yes. So that's pretty much greater to me than it's automatic two-state solution right there. If they make them UN, recognize them as a state in the UN. That's what brought Israel to where it's at today in 1948, like he just mentioned. And as you know, the Israel is having a theater behind it.
Right. That's what I was saying. I was thinking, because how could Palestine say they could live with Israel, knowing everything Israel's doing? I always thought Palestine just wanted all their land back, because look how they annexed a lot of land in Palestine, in that area. So that's going to be a whole nother conversation, because they kept squeezing Palestine out of certain parts of that area. So that's going to be an interesting conversation if that's what they're going to do.
Right. That's why I'm talking about the topic for discussion is a new Israel in Africa, in Rwanda. They're setting that up. Ain't that something? Yeah, so anybody else got any comments on that? Okay, I'm gonna play this need to know information, then we open up some Q&A. Okay.
If you're
Welcome back. Well, the new chairman of the House Select Committee on China John Mulinar, is warning that there's, quote, an alarming lack of urgency from the administration to adopt defensive measures to protect American military bases in the Indo-Pacific against potential Chinese attacks. In a letter to the Secretaries of the Air Force and Navy, Mulinar writes this: American military bases in the Indo-Pacific are under threat. With its current strike capabilities, China can attack all U.S. bases in the region. An unclassified analysis suggests China has enough weapons to overwhelm our air and missile defenses protecting those bases. Joining me now is Gatestone Institute Senior Fellow and author of The Coming Collapse of China and China is Going to War, Gordon Chang, back with me. And Gordon, I want to get your take on this because increasingly we keep intercepting Chinese nationals who are trying to get information from our military bases, whether or not trying to break into military bases. You've got the surveillance balloon hovering above military bases a year ago. It's all about stealing information and understanding what the United States is doing. So what is the administration? Does it not, is it aware of this, do you think?
Well, it has to be aware of this, Maria, but the point here is that it's doing extremely little. There is almost no sense of urgency in the Oval Office, and there's almost no sense of urgency at the top levels of the Pentagon. So we've got a problem in both civilian and military ranks. You look at U.S. bases in the region. I think that there's going to be very little left standing after the first hour in a war unless U.S. countermeasures work. And right now, that is the big unknown. But clearly, China has more missiles than we have defenses.
Monica, it's incredible to me that the administration is doing nothing about this, despite the fact that we've got these signals that they want all this information from our military bases. This is such a national security risk. And yet, what do? We send all these administration officials to Beijing to kiss the ring of Xi Jinping. Have you seen any progress in terms of our, quote, militaries communicating, which is what they claim they want to do?
Well, it's not really a surprise since we now have a commander-in-chief who is completely compromised with regard to the Chinese Communist Party. He and his family have taken tens of millions of dollars from the CCP and CCP-related entities. So, of course, there is no incentive on the part of Joe Biden or anyone in his administration to take more aggressive action with regard to China. So there's been a free-for-all, including on the border.
So is that why, in fact, we have seen no pushback, Gordon, on COVID? And you know, China allowing COVID to leak out of that lab and unleash it on the world. The House Select Subcommittee on the Coronavirus Pandemic Chairman Brad Wenstrup confirming what we already knew. He said that the classified State Department records, quote, credibly suggest COVID originated from the lab leak in Wuhan and the Chinese Communist Party tried to cover it up. This is something that I've reported on this program for years from day one. And Chairman Wenstrup joined me here and said exactly this back in 2023. Watch this.
You have seen, Maria, what we've revealed through the subcommittee on the pandemic is the internal documents from the people that are saying this came from nature, nothing to see in China necessarily, yet internally they're saying, oh, it very likely could have come from the lab. Even Dr. Fauci said, we know they're doing this type of research in Wuhan.
Gordon, the administration hasn't held China accountable at all. Earlier this week, Wenstrup wrote a letter to Secretary of State Anthony Blinken. He's requesting that he declassify the records to share the truth about the origins of COVID. Why hasn't this been done already? It's been 4 years.
Well, it's because you have, for instance, the World Health Organization, which is dominated by China, and Anthony Fauci have led the charge among the scientific community to propagate the ludicrous notion that this disease was caused by bats in Yunnan province who transferred the pathogen to an intermediary mammal that went 1,000 miles to Wuhan and then made the jump to humans. There is no documentation for these transmission links. And by the way, Maria, you have Joe Biden at the end of this month is determined to give more power to the WHO, actually dictatorial power in pandemics and before pandemics, because Biden wants to sign the pandemic treaty, which basically eliminates our sovereignty and our ability to defeat diseases in our own country, because those decisions will be made in Geneva by Dr. Tedros, who China owns.
Wow, that's incredible. Meanwhile, Chinese President Xi Jinping is in Budapest today. He's got meetings with Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban and other officials as he's wrapping up this 3-nation European trip. Xi is expected to sign at least 16 bilateral agreements with Hungarian officials during this visit. He signed an agreement to build a, quote, shared future with Serbia. Gordon, what's the impact of this trip?
Well, this is basically going to undermine EU rules on subsidies. You know, his first stop was France, where the major discussion were Chinese subsidies to EV makers. Well, Xi Jinping is able to evade that by building a battery plant and a car plant, which are now under construction in Hungary. That's inside Europe. That's more important inside the European Union. And that makes it very difficult for Brussels to deal effectively with China's predatory trade practices, because Hungary is essentially China's ally and is doing China's bidding.
I mean, recently the administration said that it was going to put sanctions on certain companies.
Okay.
Christians, did you know there's...
Anybody have any comments on that? Yeah, so, you know, like they were saying earlier in the video, that all this stuff is going on, and it seems as if the U.S. government and military don't care. Well, you just go back to when they sunk the Lusitania. They knew that was coming. When they Pearl Harbor, they already knew. They saw all the signs. They knew. They had the intel. They wanted it to happen. So you shouldn't be surprised that this being set up right here. Okay, it's all planned. Okay, so with that being said, I'm gonna open it up for some questions, comments, dialogue. Anybody on the thing they want to talk about from last night or from last week? Any comments, questions? Yeah, so like I was saying, the topic last night, I thought it was pretty good dealing with Psalms 50, understanding that what these people have done when it comes to our understanding of what goes on in heaven, the order that's in heaven, the order that was on earth in the very beginning. You know, it's been severely attacked. But it tells us in the scriptures through these angels, through the Elohim, that all this is going to happen, and that at the very end, because of the knowledge that he was going to bring upon the earth, the way that the knowledge is delivered, which is we see social media and all this stuff, the internet, it's coming out. And we're able to rightly divide and get to the truth of how everything really was in the beginning, before these people came on the scene and screwed it all up. Okay. Nobody have no comments or no questions. I was listening earlier. I was talking earlier about how nobody seems to. Well, you know, people that's awake and people that pretty much deal with problems of awakening understand that the woman that's over in Israel today is a harlot. The real woman she's been banished, scattered all over the whole world. So the people that's in Israel today posing as Israelites is not the Israelites, but a harlot. And that harlot is controlling the beast, which is the fourth beast, is being controlled by this harlot. So I was playing the video earlier where Netanyahu first became president, prime minister of Israel. He flew to the White House and pretty much chewed out Clinton. And before he can even respond, he was gone. So, I mean, if you look at it from our perspective, the way we've been brainwashed from Hollywood, from the news, that, you know, America's supposed to be this big mighty country that runs everything, dictates everything. But Netanyahu came over, chewed him out and left. Then spurned him. And he's been doing that ever since. So when you look at that, it goes right along with scripture. Tells us it's a harlot that's in Israel posing as a woman. And that harlot controlling the nations. And that's exactly where we at. Okay, so with that being said, I'm going to play this video, and then after I play it, we'll talk about it. It's a new Israel that's in the makings in Africa. And like I said before, if these people they came up with a plan, they got a blueprint. And if you don't ever figure that blueprint out, they're going to continue to keep using it over and over again. So the same way they came in and hoodwinked the world with the state of Israel in 1948, they're in the process of doing it again over in Israel. And because of all the conflict that's going on over there in Israel today, a lot of them fleeing that area. Check it out.
So the channel, thank you so much for always returning. Trust you and yours are well, and you are loving yourself and others like always. Many thanks to all of you for the support you give to the channel. Thank you so much to our channel members, to our anonymous supporters, to all of you, my esteemed subscribers. You are all are celebrated and appreciated. So I know you're running here, and it's for a fact. This is no joke. I want us to analyze this together. The fact that a new Israel will be created in Rwanda soon, if Africans are not careful. Yes, because this is how they packed them to Palestine. And today, what is happening now? They are claiming ownership of the land. It was also here that I brought in a video clip of how the Namibians are coming out to, they are crying out that these people who came to their land as visitors, who came to their land as refugees, who came to their land as whatever you call them, are now claiming ownership of Namibia.
So they're down in Namibia and that area. Can't think of the other country, but it's down there where a lot of people are saying the land is really at Jerusalem and the land of Canaan is at. So let's check it out.
Yeah. In short, they are even depriving the Namibians the right to farm on their own land, on their own inheritance, Your Majesties. This is exactly what is happening around the world. This is exactly what is happening in South Africa. They came as settlers. From settlers, they became owners of lands. And this is what we are seeing now happening in Rwanda. Paul Kagame is opening his borders to asylum, so-called asylum seekers that the United Nations or the British government are pushing to Africa.
They go British again. Britain. They're the ones who was a major players when they got the land of Israel over in Palestine.
Oh, they say Paul Kagame will close his borders to the Congolese that are seeking for a place to hide during wars. Do you understand what I'm saying? The level of what I'm saying? This same Rwanda refused entrance to the Congolese when the rebels have destroyed their homes and they're looking for a place to lay their head. Rwanda refused the Congolese. Paul Kagame refused. But this is the same Paul Kagame that is opening his gates wide open for the refugees that the British government are packing in loads and bringing them to Rwanda. These are people that are Europeans. So what is going on with us? What is happening? Now, it's not my words. I want to take you to it. Because it's something that it is just recent, it's not long ago, okay? UK passes bill to deport asylum seekers to Rwanda. What next? According to Al Jazeera. I'm going to bring the clip as well soon. But I just want you to listen to this. that the British government has already chartered planes for deportation to start as early as July. As early as July.
Enough is enough. No more prevarication, no more delay. Parliament would sit there tonight and vote no matter how late it goes. No ifs, no buts. These flights are going to Rwanda. We're going to deliver this indispensable deterrent so that we finally break the business model of the criminal gangs and save lives. Starting from the moment that the bill passes, we will begin the process of removing those identified for the first flight. We have prepared for this moment. I can confirm that we've put an airfield on standby, booked commercial charter planes for specific slots, and we have 500 highly trained individuals ready to escort illegal migrants all the way to Rwanda, with 300 more trained in the coming weeks. This is one of the most complex operational endeavours the Home Office has carried out. But we are ready, plans are in place, and these flights will go come what may. No foreign court will stop us from getting flights off. The first flight will leave in 10 to 12 weeks. Now, of course, that is later than we wanted, but we have always been clear that processing will take time, and if Labour peers had not spent weeks holding up a bill in the House of Lords to try to block these flights altogether, we would have begun this process weeks ago.
Under the new law, any asylum seekers who have arrived illegally in Britain will be sent to Rwanda. People who went to Britain illegally from different parts of the world, those who are illegal people, UK have agreed to pack these illegal people, quote, illegal asylum seekers, pack them, bundle them, and bring them to Rwanda. I'll go through it again. Under the new law, any asylum seekers who arrive illegally, those who came illegally through whatever it means, will be sent to Rwanda. And Rwanda has opened gates. Paul Kagame opened gate to illegal people. But his own brothers that are behind his backyard, that are looking for a place to lay their head when there was problem, he refused and gave you all reason why he can't allow in Congolese. He told you all that.
Okay.
Do you know what's in your cheap protein?
Any comments so far? Got no more to play. Okay.
That Congolese are the cause of this problem in Rwanda. Your brother, the cause of your problem. What kind of problem is that you can't sit down and solve it? And if you look at this whole thing, it's still the West that have control over them and tell them what to do. The West have gave them reasons why, gave Kagame reasons why he can't accept Congolese. Because they were already preparing the ground for these illegal ones that they will ship from UK to Rwanda. Now, tomorrow, when these people come now in this way, and they give them houses, give them place to stay, tomorrow, they will come and say they are the owner of Rwanda. Oh, my Rwandese, I hope you are seeing. You are seeing what your president is about to do. Your president is about to accept people into his country. They are not Africans. Though. He will bring them, they will give them a place to stay. But I thought there was no space for anyone. That was why Paul Kagame rejected the Congolese that were running for safety. This is how far we hate ourselves. It's written all over us. If we like, we say it's not true. It is all over our faces that we don't like each other.
Okay, so a lot of people fleeing from the Middle East because of what's going on over there. and they flee into Great Britain. When you understand their little scheme, it should be no surprise they went to Britain. So, and now Britain have made a deal, just like they did with the Bretton Woods Agreement, and they sending them to Rwanda. So they let you know all the hula they didn't say it about Paul Pagama. You know, now it's exposed. You can see exactly who he's working for. Okay? Any comments on that? Like I said, you might want to check that out on your own, those who are interested. But anybody got any questions on that? Comments?
So the people in the Middle East going to Britain and Britain sending them to Africa.
Right.
That's what's going on. Oh, so these are Jews that are running out the Middle East.
Yeah, leaving the conflict in Israel. They're fleeing from the conflict in Israel.
So it's the same play, like you just said in the Bretton Woods and the Balfour Declaration. They running the same play again now. Now they're gonna do it in Africa. Get them a place in Africa.
Right, and if you remember, we had this come before they decided back when they was trying to find a place. Before they chose Palestine, they had already chose that area before.
Right, in Africa, right.
Right. Now they back there because of this going on. Like I said before, if you sitting there talking about the all we need is these 66 books, well, look how off they are. He said that when they go back to the land, the lion and the lamb was gonna lay down together. Little girl was gonna lay her hand in the lion's den, and nobody was gonna bite them. These people that went over there, all kind of hell and war after war, and now they leaving. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy.
Yeah.
Man. None of this shit
So now, what you just brought out earlier. So now it's all right for them to just give Palestine this 2-state option. You see what I'm saying? Because they leaving anyway.
Right. It's all plotted. And another thing to look at too. Look at all these. They want you to think that they forced migrations, but they shifting all these people around. Look what's happening. Same thing happening in Israel with these two major players in the end time, the whore and the fourth beast. So look what they're doing. They look at all these people, how they changing the dynamics of America by all these migrants coming in here. Well, they doing the same thing over there. And the same thing in Africa. They want you to think because of conflict and turmoil, but it's all being plotted. They moving all these different races of people in to where they want them at, according to what they getting ready to do. Like I said before, the lie they keep on telling about these lost tribes, 10 lost tribes. Nobody don't know the impact of that. They were never lost. They know damn well where they was at. That's why they went and got them in slave ships. They knew where they was. They ain't never been lost. That's a lie. That's a lie from Israel, or from Esau, talking about their lost tribes. They ain't lost. Never was lost. That's why you got all these Negroes can come in talking about the Indian is the Israelite was here, and America is Israel. Come on, man. 10 lost tribes never was lost. Like I said, that's a lie from the pits of hell. Okay? And now that we waking up, now that the end times, the Most High's word is being revealed, we looking dead at it. They've been Israelites the whole time. They knew where they was at. Okay? Anybody else got any comments on that? Questions?
Yeah, just another question. So it's predominantly the Jews that are leaving, but they won't let Palestinians leave, right? They're not.
No. Palestinians ain't going nowhere. That's the last guy. So which call is supposed to been up until this weekend? Israel thought they had Pakistan in their hand, right? They thought they had them sold up, but all of a sudden, that was the Pakistani government that was speaking. They said that Israel had their foot on Palestinian neck ever since they came there in 1947, and it's high time that America and Israel take their foot off of their neck and allow them to have their own Palestinian state. So yeah, and like I said, that's happening right now as we speak, and very few people know the significance of it. Just like they didn't know those people over there, the leaders in Palestine in that area, they knew back in 1947 how that was going to play out. The world didn't know. They duped the world just like they're doing now. Well, yeah, everything making sense. I mean, you when you look back at the guy that's over there in Great Britain right now, the Prime Minister, and his appearance, especially then his background, he Arab or something. I mean, how did he rise to the point where he's the Prime Minister in Great Britain? God, they putting all their ducks in a row. But what they getting ready to do? Just like Biden. Come on. You falling down, you take 2-3 steps and fall down every 2 steps. But he's the president of the United States. Why is he there? Why is no outcry to do something about that? He's not, you can see he ain't out. But it's all part of the plan. He in there for a reason. For what they planning. That's why he in there. Like you go back to Lyndon B. Johnson. He was there. He was in there sitting there for a reason. They already knew what they was gonna do with JFK. Lincoln, his vice president. They all got the same characteristics. They was highly educated in Illuminati and loyal. And that's why they had them there. They knew what they was getting ready to do. As soon as they knocked them off, they went to work. Because they had the man they wanted in there. He never would have got in there by popular vote. So they used a charismatic dude to get him there. And once he got the nomination, then they told him who was going to be the vice president. We're looking at the same thing. It's not no coincidence. Biden in there. Well, yeah. Look at last term as president. Look who he ran against. McCain. You could have put a baboon up against McCain and won. Everything plotted and schemed. That's what the Lord of hosts got to cut off. Yeah. That's something. So, with that being said, I don't know, nobody have no questions or comments about anything. I'm gonna read out of Zephaniah. Okay. Get it. Start at chapter 1. Okay, yeah, here you go. Okay, it says, the day of the Lord's wrath. The word of the Lord came unto Zephaniah, the son of Cushi, the son of Gedaliah, the son of Amara, son of Issachar, in the days of Josiah, the son of Amon, king of Judah. And I was utterly consumed, and I was utterly consumed all things. I will utterly consume all things from off the land, said the Lord. I will consume man and beast. I will consume the fowls of the heavens and the fish of the sea and the stumbling blocks with the wicked, and I will cut off man from off the land, says the Lord. So, like I was saying earlier, all these people have been doing this for 2,500 years. Wicked. Everything is, they got you thinking it's happening on its own, but it's plotted and schemed for their gain and oppress the wicked, oppress the righteous, especially the Most High people. So this is what was going on in Israel at the time. Like we see it was during the time of Josiah. So the Lord says, the word of the Lord came by Zephaniah, came to Zephaniah, and he says in verse 2, I will utterly consume all things from off the land. You know, restart. Okay, revamp. I will utterly consume all things from off the land, says the Lord, and I will consume man and beast. I will consume the fowls. He did this with the flood. I will consume fowls of the heavens, the fishes of the sea, the stumbling blocks. That's what we got. We got stumbling blocks. Illuminati, Goulet, them all stumbling blocks for Israel. The stumbling blocks with the wicked, and I will cut off man from off the land, said the Lord. And I will also stretch out my hand upon Judah and upon all the inhabitants of Jerusalem, and I will cut the remnant of Baal in this place, and the name of Kesharim with the priests, and them that worship the host of heaven upon the housetops, and them that worship and that swear by the Lord, and that swear by Meekin. So let's look at this verse 5 right quick, because this is speaking volumes. It says in verse 5, and them that worship the host of heaven, right? We know we're not supposed to do that upon the housetops, and them that worship and that swear by the Lord. So this is what we at right here. This is what they did with the New Testament. So they worship and they swear by the Lord, but they also swear by their God, Maker. So when you go to JC, you're going to find out they even put him in a place of put him over in the Old Testament. So we dealing with him thinking that he's associated with Israel and the things that go on in Israel, but he don't. And like I said, he ain't even for us. He's not. When they created him, it wasn't for us. It's a continuation for them to keep worshiping their God out in the open, but we thinking that it's the God of Israel. But they still doing the same thing they was doing. They just put a hook on it. They worshiping their God out in the open. They know who he is, but we don't. We throw. We think we worshiping the God of Israel. When he, like I said, they playing chess and they done bumped him off the board. They allowed him to do it for a time. Okay, verse 6 says, and them that are turned back from the Lord, and those that have not sought the Lord, nor inquired of him. Read that again. And them that are turned back from the Lord, and those that have not sought the Lord, nor inquired of him. So they thinking they dealing with the Lord, they inquiring of the Lord, but they ain't. The God of Israel, you know, they didn't removed it. We ain't dealing with him. Say, hold out peace at the presence of the Lord God, for the day of the Lord is at hand. For the Lord hath prepared his sacrifice. He have bid his guests. And this is what I was telling you about. You hear me talking about how super sharp, how slick Esau is, not understanding that the Creator and the Redeemer are 10 times slicker than they are. So, in this verse right here, 7, after all they done done, all we done discovered that they done to our scriptures, to our understanding, all that it says in verse 7, hold our peace at the presence of the Lord of hosts, for the day of the Lord is at hand, right? That's where we at. For the Lord hath prepared a sacrifice. So these same nut buckets, they the sacrifice. They the sacrifice. That's what we're getting ready to witness, a sacrifice. He hath bid his guests. It shall come to pass in the day of the Lord's sacrifice that I will punish the princes and the king's children and all such as clothed with strange apparel. In the same day also will I punish all those that leap on the threshold, which fill their masters' houses with violence and deceit. So here we go right here. I want to shine a light on this. So I told you they were given a date. We've been brainwashed, but the Most High, he gave a precise date when they was going to leave Egypt. We just don't know it. They're in the hoodwinked it, but it was a certain day that they was going to come out. And then that self-same day they came out. So how we know that? Well, he gave them a date when they came out of Babylon. He told them you're going there for 70 years. And that's what Daniel was looking at. He used Jeremiah to bring forth the prophecy, and then Jeremiah prophecy that they're going to be there for 70 years. So let's look at it right quick. So you go to Daniel and look what the scriptures say. It says, okay, let me get Daniel right quick. So Daniel chapter 9. Go to Daniel chapter 9. And then you see right here, 9. In the first year of Darius. So remember, it's a prophecy on Cyrus that said that Cyrus was going to release the Israelites. They already knew that. So Daniel 9:25, Cyrus did that. In Ezra chapter 1, he came out with the commandment and said that it's time for the Israelites to go, those that want to go back, according to the mouth of Jeremiah. They can go back. So right here in Daniel 9 verse 1, in the first year of Darius, the son of Ahasuerus, the seeds of the Medes and Persians, seeds of the Medes, which were made king over the realm of the Chaldeans. 2, in the first year of his reign, I, Daniel, understood. So he's looking at it. He already had a date. Jeremiah gave him a date. I, Daniel, understood by books, like Jeremiah, the book of Jeremiah, the number of years. Well, the word of the Lord came to Jeremiah the prophet that he would accomplish 70 years in the desolation of Jerusalem. So that's why he in a pickle, because of the prophecy of Cyrus and Daniel in Isaiah 45 and the prophecy that Jeremiah gave with 70 years. He looking at it, and Darius on the scene. So Cyrus came and went, and the 70 years up. Right after 70 years, right after 69 years. So Daniel, that's why he started praying. So it says in when he seen all that, verse 3, I set my face unto the Lord God, Lord of hosts, to seek by prayer and supplication, with fasting, sackcloth and ashes. That's why he's doing this. Most people don't know why he's doing it, but he's looking at the prophecies. Right? So the same way that he left these writings for Daniel and the prophets back then to look at, he left writing for us. But these nutbuckers got hold to him. So when they left Egypt, you know, they didn't skew that up, but when they left Egypt, who was they looking at? What prophet they were looking at in the timeline? Genesis chapter 15. That they done hoodwinked. They're looking at what Abraham said, what Abraham had prophesied. So, like I said, the self-same day that the prophecy that Abraham had said was the self-same day they left. So you say, what you talking about? That's why this ain't working. For me anyway, I don't know about nobody else. But this 400-year prophecy, 1619 to 2019 ain't working. Because 2019 didn't pass. We're in 2024. So let me read this again right here. Let me read it. Verse 6 of Zephaniah chapter 6, chapter 1. And them that are turned back from the Lord, and those that have not sought the Lord, nor inquired for him, hold thy peace at the presence of the Lord thy God, for the day of the Lord is at hand, for the Lord hath prepared a sacrifice, and he hath bid his guests. It shall come to pass in the day of the Lord's sacrifice that I will punish the princes and the kings, and all such as clothes with strange apparel. In the same day. See that? That's there for a reason. In the same day, also will I punish all those that leap on the threshold, which fill their master's houses with violence and deceit. Go back to Egypt and go back to Babylon. The self-same day. It wasn't no 5 years later. 2019 came being 5 years later. It's the self-same day. So when he punished when he finished punishing the Israelites, he rained down hell and brimstone, killed the firstborn. That night, they left. They spoiled the Egyptians. All that happened the self-same day. This is how he worked. Same thing with the Babylonians when Belshazzar had the feast. That was the day of the Lord when Belshazzar had the feast. Let's look at it. Over in Daniel, I think it's in Daniel. Yeah, let me look. Okay. Okay. I'm thinking it's in Daniel. Yeah, here you go. So, Daniel chapter 5. Belshazzar the king made a great feast to thousands of his lords and drank wine before thousands. So, if you don't know, the wine that they're drinking, the cups they're using, are the cups that the priests and Levites use in the temple. He didn't got beside himself. He got the most high vessel, using them to have a party with, to have a feast. Verse 2, Belshazzar, while he tasted the wine, and commanded to bring the gold and silver vessels, which his father Nebuchadnezzar had taken out of the temple, which was in Jerusalem, that the king and his princes, his wives, and his concubines might drink therein. Right? Then they brought the golden vessels that were taken out of the temple of the house of God, which was in Jerusalem, and the king and his princes and his wives and his concubines drank in them. They drank wine, and they praised the gods of gold and silver and brass, iron, of wood, and of stone. Say, here you go again. In the same hour came forth the finger of a man's hand and rolled over against the candlestick upon the plaster of the wall of the king's palace, and the king saw the part of the hand that wrote. Then the king continued, the countenance was changed. and his thought troubled him, so that the joints of his loins were loosed, and his knees smote, one against another. And the king cried aloud to bring in the astrologers, the Chaldeans, the soothsayers, and the king spake and said to these wise men of Babylon, whosoever shall read this writing and show me the interpretation thereof shall be clothed with scarlet and have a chain of gold about his neck and shall be third ruler in the kingdom. So, like I said before, we can see right here how that works. So this was already prophesied. He told Jeremiah to tell the Israelites, go to Babylon, serve Nebuchadnezzar, his son, and his grandson. This is who Belshazzar is, the grandson. So, like I said before, they got an end time scenario, and the Lord of hosts and Yahweh got an end time scenario. And now that after all these lies and all the tampering with our scriptures, we see it unfold. And it ain't going according to the lies they done told. It's going according to the prophecy that the Most High brought forth through his prophets. Same thing right here. It's unfolding, just like he said. So, guess what? He summoned Daniel after he saw that none of his wise men could deal with it. He summoned Daniel. We're going to pick it up in verse 13. Then was Daniel brought in before the king, and the king spake and said unto Daniel, art thou that Daniel, which art of the children of the captivity of Judah, whom the king my father brought out of the Judah? I have even heard of thee that the spirit of the gods, here we go, the Elohim, see that? The spirit of the gods, the Elohim, is in thee, and that light and understanding and excellent wisdom is found in thee. And now the wise men, the astrologers, have been brought in before me, that they should read this writing and make known unto me the interpretation thereof, but they could not. See that? But they could not show the interpretation of the things. And I have heard of thee that thou canst make interpretations and dissolve doubts. Now, if thou canst read the writings and make known to me the interpretation thereof, thou shalt be clothed with a scarlet and have a chain of gold about thy neck, and thou shalt be third ruler in the kingdom. Then Daniel answered and said before the king, let the gifts be to thyself, and give thy reward to another. Yet I will read the writings unto the king and make known to him the interpretation. O thou king, the Most High God gave Nebuchadnezzar thy father kingdom and majesty and glory and honor. For the majesty that he gave him, all the people, nations, languages trembled and feared before him, whom he slew, and whom he would keep alive, and whom he would set up, and whom he would put down. But when his heart was lifted up, and his mind hardened his pride, he was deposed from the kingly throne, and they took his glory from him, and he was driven from the sons of men. We know the story. So anyway, you get down to 25. He described what was written. This is the meaning that was written. Mina, Tika, Yerbashan, I don't know if I can say that word. This is the interpretation of the thing. Mina, God have numbered thy kingdom and finished it. Tika, thou art weighed in the balances and are found wanting. Perez, thy kingdom is divided and given to the Medes and the Persians. Then commanded Belshazzar, and they clothed Daniel with a scarlet and put a chain about his neck and made a proclamation concerning him that he should be third ruler in the kingdom. And in that night, see that? Here we go. And in that night, was Belshazzar, the king of the Chaldeans, slain, and Darius the Median took the kingdom, being about 70 years old. See that? Look at it. 31. Darius the Median took the kingdom, being about 10 years old. So let's look at that. So the prophecy was for 70 years. Darius is 70 years old. So when Darius was born, the proclamation was made, the prophecy was made. Now, when Darius became king, is when it came to pass. Like I said, it ain't operating the way these people talking about. It's not. Like I said, we still can see the curses all over us. 2019 it came and went. We still dealing with the curses. So it ain't working. Not according to what I just read. I just showed you what happened in Egypt and what happened in Babylon. Same day. All these things came to a head the same day, and we was delivered. Came out. It wasn't all this what's going on now. So that ain't how the Lord of hosts work. He go straight to the jugular vein. When it's time, you're gonna cut the jugular and you're gonna bleed out. It ain't no prolonged process. When that day comes, day of the Lord, it's all boom, 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 boom. That's it. That's how it works. Okay. Anybody got a comment so far? I'm gonna finish reading this chapter right here. I call it. I'm in verse 10. And it shall come to pass in that day, said the Lord, that there shall be a noise of a cry from the fish gate, and a howling from the second, and a great crashing from the hills. Howl, ye inhabitants of Mystis, for all the merchant people are cut down, and all that bear silver are cut off. And it shall come to pass at that time that I will search Jerusalem with candles, and punish the men that are settled on their leaves, that stay in their hearts. The Lord will not do good, neither will he do evil. Therefore, their goods shall become a booty, and their houses desolation. And they shall also build houses, but not inhabit them. And they shall plant vineyards, but not drink the wine thereof. The great day, here you go. The great day of the Lord is near. It is near and hasten greatly, even the voice of the day of the Lord. The mighty men shall cry therein bitterly. The day is a day of wrath, a day of trouble and distress, a day of wasteness and desolation, a day of darkness, gloominess, a day of clouds and thick darkness, a day of the trumpet and the alarm against the fenced cities and against the high towers. And I will bring stress upon men, that they shall walk like blind men, because they have sinned against the Lord. And their blood shall be poured out as dust, and their flesh as dung, like I said, when he's going to cut the jugular vein. And that's going to be that. 18. Neither their silver nor their gold shall be able to be, shall deliver them in that day, and the Lord's wrath, but the whole land shall be devoured by fire of his jealousy, and he shall make even a speedy riddance of all them that dwell in the land. That's how he works. Okay? So let's look at this. 12, and I'll close out. And it shall come to pass at that time that I will search Jerusalem with candles, and punish the men that are settled on their leave. So what is he talking about? He says, I will search Jerusalem with candles, and punish the men that are settled on their leaves. What are you talking about? Let's look at it and we close out. Ezekiel chapter 9. Like I say, you can sit there and believe that it's JC by itself coming if you want to. Let's look at it. Okay. Ezekiel chapter 9. Page is sticking together on me. And we get it. Okay, here we go. He said he's going to search Jerusalem with a candle, right? And he's going to punish the men. So let's look at it. Chapter 9. This is how he do it. We fumbling with it. He cried also in mine ear with a loud voice, saying, cause them that have charge over the city. This is who have charge over the city. Every man with his destroying weapon in his hand. And behold, 6 men came from the way of the high gate, which lieth toward the north, and every man had a slaughter weapon in his hand. And one man among them was clothed in linen with a writer's inkhorn by his side, and they went in and stood beside the brazen altar. So this is the one with the candle. He's searching the whole city out. The ones that he marked, the other 6 gonna come and take them out. That's what he's talking about over there in Zephaniah. Yeah. You're gonna search the whole land out. But it ain't just him. Okay. Let that permeate. Anybody got a question or comment before we go? Everybody good?
I'm good.
Yes,
I'm
sir.
good. I'm good.
Yeah, so with that being said,
Yeah.
I see everybody this evening. Okay, at 7 o'clock. 6 o'clock for our closeout Shabbat week. Okay. Okay. Shalom.